Hi folks, first video in a few weeks with all the coronavirus stuff going on. It's hard to know what to talk about with the exception of what should you do if your race is canceled. But if you haven't already seen a bazillion podcasts, emails, YouTube videos, etc. on what to do, then you're missing the boat. So I won't do that. So I thought today I would give kind of my first initial review and impressions of something called the Moboboard. And I will put a link to moboboard.com in the comments in case you want to find out more about that. But let's back up before I get into what a Moboboard is. Who was it developed by? It was developed by a guy by the name of Jay DeSherry. If you've seen some of my other videos, I'm a huge fan of Jay DeSherry. He is a physical therapist. He has a lot of expertise in running and gait. He lives out on the West Coast, I think up around Oregon someplace. I'm down in Florida, like the opposite end of the country, or I'd go see the guy in a heartbeat. I mean, you really think he knows his stuff and has the right approach. You may have heard from him if you've ever read the book called Anatomy for Runners. If you haven't, it's an excellent book. It's a little bit science-y, if you will, but it's a really good book by Jay on running with some tests that you can do. And then he's got another book that's a little bit more, simplistic is not the right word, but more for the everyday runner called Running Rewired, Jay DeSherry. And again, he's got a lot of tests you can do to see where you've got imbalances, opportunities, and of course the exercises you might do to do those. But getting back to the Moboboard, so it all started, I listened to a podcast. I'll also put a link in the comments on this. It was from the Run to the Top podcast, November 19th, I think it was, 2019. The title is something about the big toe. Anyway, the gist of it is, and I knew this part already, feet are really, really important in running, and we tend to ignore our feet sometimes. And he talks a lot in the podcast about how when the foot lands and how you roll in, and the role of the big toe in particular. The role of the big toe is to stabilize you. It helps stabilize, this is the arch of my hand, like the arch of your foot. And what happens many times is we're not using our big toe properly. And he talked about both the hands and the feet, and I never realized this. All your fingers have 3 knuckles. 1, 2, 3. All your toes have 3 knuckles as well. But your big toe, as well as your thumb, there's only 2 knuckles. That's because their role, the role of the thumb on the hand, is different than your fingers, and the role of the big toe on your foot is different than your toes. And what happens many times is that our toes are kind of cheating and helping do some of the work that the toe should be doing, that big toe, but that will not help you properly stabilize the arch. Hence, he developed the Moboboard to help people train that a little bit better. So this is what the Moboboard looks like. It's made of bamboo. It's wood. As you can see in the bottom, it's a rocker board. There are slots that you put the rocker in, but it's a lot different than a regular rocker board. And one of my slots just came up, but that doesn't matter because it goes with the slots down. First of all, the way the board rocks, if you're on a normal, say, a wobble board, it goes 360 different directions, or if you're on foam or something, it goes every which way. This is designed so that for most of the exercises, it is rocking in the same motion that your foot does when you're running. So that's a really good thing. And the other thing is you'll see there's a hole in here. So what happens is, this is for my right foot, hence the R down in the bottom. I would take these slots out and move them and flip it around. If I get that in, when I want to do my left foot. And what's different is this hole. So what happens is when you place your foot on the board, only your foot and your big toe is on that board. All your other toes are in that hole. They can't do anything. So it is forcing you to learn to do your stability with that big toe and the arch of your foot. So I've had mine for, I think, a little bit over a month now. He gives you a bunch of different exercises you can do. I'll tell you, I'm not ready to do those exercises yet. Generally speaking, on my left foot, I'm pretty good, and that's because my left leg is a little bit longer than my right leg. So if I stand on my left foot, I'm very steady, and my weight will go a lot to my toe. So on my left foot, I can get on that board, I can hold myself pretty steady, and I could probably do some of the exercises that he's talking about with the left foot because I'm already doing a good job of grounding myself and keeping that arch stable on my left side. Right side, entire another story. I really roll out a lot to the outside, I think in large part because that's my shorter leg, and so that's the way it's going to go onto the ground. As such, when I'm on that board, very, very hard for me to keep stable because I'm not doing a good job of stabilizing with my big toe. He also has some exercises you can do with a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball to help loosen some things up to make that a little bit better. I really didn't know about that. I just found that on his website, so I'm going to add those in as well. What I'm doing right now is trying to use the board several times a week, probably 4 or 5 times a week, and just like a minute on each foot, doing nothing but just standing there and being stable. What he really wants to be doing in his exercises is some type of movement and resisted movement, all the way from whether it be having a band and twisting with it, or maybe kettlebells and doing a little bit of dip. He's doing things that kind of simulate what's going on with your body during running. As I mentioned, I could probably do that on my left side. There's no way I can do that on my right side. It's pretty difficult for me to even maintain my balance and keep that pressure on my toe on my right side because of that propensity to roll out. But I think it's absolutely helping. So why do I think that it's helping is 2 reasons. Number one, I'm a heck of a lot better on both feet now at holding myself stable with that toe when I was when I first got it. Secondly, when I do yoga and we're doing balance stuff, I'm absolutely just better with balance in general on the right side than I was on the left. I haven't seen too much difference on the left, but that was my good side already. But my side that was bad and trickier than yoga, I am definitely better than that. It is a pricey little object. I think this is about $80 or something, but it's made of wood and bamboo. It's going to last forever. It'll probably last longer than I use it because I tend to buy stuff and not use it. But so far, I'm pretty committed to this, in part because it's pretty quick to use, and I think it's helping, and I understand how important the feet are with that stability. So again, it was the Run to the Top podcast. I'm sure he's got other podcasts out there. You can go to the moboboard.com and get more information. I will put links to moboboard.com as well as to that podcast in there if you want to listen to that. He gives a far, far better description of how the toe works and arch stabilization and why those things are important in that podcast. So I think I'd find that worth a listen. So I'll try and do a review. Actually, I get to do some of the exercise with it. But right now, I guess kind of like in the movies, I'd give it 2 thumbs up.